touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Alrighty, folks. Tonight, Bridge to Cup action here on April 11th, 2024. This is the 9th race of our Bridge to Cup championship. And tonight, they hit the track that we were at last night for Texas. So, on the front row, you've got Rich Roy and Andrew Moger. Behind them, the ever so hot to beat Dave Steele Jr. and Lucas Holmes. Kyle Ottawa and Jack Davis, Kat Durham and Cannon Gage, Jamie Horseman and Scott Speed, Bradley Ream and AJ Kosnoff, Ryan Little and Gannon Bird, Krista Cower and GP Luxembourg, Braden Hunt and Anheuser Wachner, Santi Messi and John Hagen, Kyler Sestre and Alan Malcolm, Luis Rodriguez and Adam Starr, Spinham Walker and Noah Hobson, Kevin Xavier and Roach, David Bird and Osceil Escobar, and at the very back, Chasey Plays and Paulo Ladino. So 201 laps for the distance of 301 miles here tonight at Texas. It's actually kind of nice now having my own utility to use that I can check point standings and results from previous races right at my disposal with my new website that I've compiled together. So we can look right now at Bridge to Cup, our current points leader, none other than Dave Steele Jr., who sits right there in the second row. And he's been able to do it with 5 top 5s, 3 of which were actually wins. So Dave Steele has been a tough cookie to crumble here. And as you can see, going 3 wide for the lead right off the bat. That 35 goes low and pushes our leaders, our pole position and second place driver out of the mix already. He means business here tonight. Now that we've got a lap in the books, the ticker should be showing. There we go. Although it's a little bit off. I don't think Andrew Moger led a lap at all, but it'll probably take another lap for it to sort itself out there. Dave Steele leading over Kyle Ottawa, but not for long. Ottawa trying to snatch the lead away here. So now we've got pretty heated battle already early on here tonight. There goes Steele back to the lead, but Ottawa got to lead a couple laps there. Rich Roy from pole position, starting to work his way back up to the front here. A little bit further back, even got Bradley Ream joining the party here. Cat Durham, who's not been a very perennial contender for wins week in, week out. Kyle Ottawa settles back into second and will follow right from this spot in the race. It seems like this is probably the best battle right now. Last night we did get to see some good racing, although it was mostly dominated by the two drivers at the front of the field. Texas, at least this Texas track that I've come across has decent side-by-side racing with potential for some lead changes. So far, in the early run-in, the lead has changed hands 3 times between Kyle Ottawa and Dave Steele Jr. Dave Steele Jr. holding that lead right now. Bradley Ream trying to hunt him down. Kyle Ottawa at this moment is weathering the storm, trying to fight with the other guys around the top 5 here. But this could be one of those moments that Bradley Ream desperately needs in his Bridge to Cup campaign. As we've seen, he's got some streaks of brilliance in the trucks. He's had a couple wins, and then the wheels kind of fell off for him and hasn't been near as good as he once was when he just started with the series. So perhaps Bradley Ream trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You know, lightning only strikes once ever so often, so perhaps trying to figure out how to harness electricity here for that 19. Got his work cut out for him, as Dave Steele Jr. is not going to be an easy driver to pass. I would liken him to almost being Ryan Newman-esque as of late. He holds that lead and doesn't give it up. So Newman might be might be the best way to describe Dave Steele Jr. here. Well, now we've got potentially a battle brewing for the lead here as Bradley Ream has caught up to the back bumper of that 35. Currently, it is Subaru versus Mazda. A little bit further back, that of a Dodge and an Audi. Here we go. Bradley Ream going to the lead here. Going to take the position from Dave Steele Jr. Very valiant push here. This could be a big moment for that 19 team to go out there and race against the guy that's got the most wins this season and just straight up out haul him on track here. That's proven a point. Of course, there's still a crap ton of racing to go here. 184 laps is it's going to be pretty close to an endurance race here tonight for these Bridge to Cup guys that are used to going shorter distances. There we go. There we go. Dave Steele going to duke it back. So these two can dish it out. Some good racing at the front of the field here. Bradley Ream with another charge here coming up. Gonna make the pass again, going this time into turn 3. All this side-by-side racing is gonna allow Kyle Ottawa and the rest of them to get caught back up to the lead here. So this battle, although, you know, good or bad depending on who you are taking the lead, it's even more bad for the guys that are leading to let these other guys catch back up. There we go, the 81 gonna try, looks like he's gonna try in another lap or two to steal the position away from Dave Steele Jr. A little bit of help from Rich Roy. There's a 4-car fight at the front of the field. And you guarantee 3 of the 4 here are very hungry for a win this season. The only guy not with a win, well, the only guy with a win in the top 4 there, obviously Dave Steele Jr. Everyone else with 0. Look even a little further back, the 48 of Luis Rodriguez, also winless this season so far. So there's a lot on the table here as these guys catch up to the leaders. Luis Rodriguez, a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect to see him running up into the top 5 this early on. Spinham Walker, your last race winner at 3-7 Speedway. Now, one of the determining factors of this race will be if it goes caution-free. What will we expect to see? Are we going to see this race clip by quickly? Are we going to see pit strategies kick in where green flag pit stops and other drivers losing traction due to those pit stops? If the truck race was any indicator, we didn't really get any cautions at all. We had one caution for a truck that got stalled on track. Other than that, these guys race really clean around Texas, whether it be the trucks or Bridge to Cup like it is tonight. I don't expect to see very many cautions, maybe one, and if the worst case scenario, maybe two. But even erring on the side of likely no cautions at all. That also proves the point that we might see lap traffic become a factor as these guys catch up to the tail end of the lead lap. That could totally mess up the flow of the race towards the second half. Only 27 laps in so far, 173 laps to go. A lot of racing still. You just kind of have to fill it out and figure out where you're going to make it to the finish here tonight. Another lead swap coming here as Dave Steele Jr. goes below the 19. The momentum, the two of them stay side by side here. But Dave Steele Jr. is going to take the lead back, putting Bradley Ream behind him. Ream also now at risk of losing second place here. Well, Bradley Ream took the lead back there and is starting to grow that lead as Dave Steele Jr. even falls back to third. Rich Roy getting up to second. Luis Rodriguez running fourth. Kyle Ottawa running fifth. Spinham Walker, Nadak Hagum, Gannon Bird, and Kyler Sustre, followed by Ryan Little. Second in our points is the 88 of John Hagan. And going through the field, John Hagan having a rough day here in Texas, running 27th on track. Atlee Weiss and the JAKESTERS Alliance. That's kind of the funding behind this Mazda here today. And, well, all season, obviously. There isn't a... I can't remember the team name, but yeah, the JAKESTERS Alliance, TRD associated with Mazda on this one to help field these Mazda entries in Bridge to Cup. Mazda wants to get its presence a little bit more known in the Sigmaverse, and with some good runs, hopefully in Bridge to Cup, they could be looking at trying to break through into the Cup Series someday. Our Cup Series is already overloaded with manufacturers, as we've got 9 different manufacturers represented. And some of them are going to get knocked out at the end of the season to help free up some space and kind of form some identity of structure for all the manufacturers in the Sigma Cup Series, as this will be the final year under the Sylvania Cup banner. We have 9, which include Ford, Dodge, Chevy, and Toyota, Honda, Audi, Jaguar, BMW, and Mercedes. However, Dodge, BMW, Mercedes, and Jaguar are the ones on the chopping block. And it's almost safe to say at this point that Jaguar is the favorite manufacturer in that experimental manufacturer group. They have proven themselves and won a lot of races early on in our Cup Championship. And I don't think Jaguar is going anywhere. So it's really going to become a battle for who's that second manufacturer to survive this experimental battle of the manufacturers to stay alive inside the Cup Series for next year. The way it's been, Dodge has always been one of the top 4 manufacturers in our Cup Series. As of recent, however, the Big 4 has turned towards Honda. So in place of Dodge, Honda now joins Toyota, Ford, and Chevy as the Big 4 in the Sigmaverse for the Cup Series. A lot of stuff can change pretty much every year. That's why silly season exists for a reason. And our main 4 could fluctuate. You never know. Maybe Ford gets knocked out in favor of Jaguar or something. A lot of these teams might look at the power behind the Jaguar and cut ties to one of their manufacturers that they've been racing with their whole life to go chase the success of Jaguar. you know, who knows? Right there, Dave Steele dipping down low, trying to take the lead back. Fighting side by side, these two not giving an inch. Bradley Ream won't budge. He doesn't want to let Steele get back in the lead here. Side by side going through turn 4. Coming back onto the front straight now. Dave Steele Jr. will lead that lap for what might just be our like 8th lead change. I feel like it's probably an accurate number there. Four-car fight starting to materialize again here as Bradley Ream lost the lead, but Luis Rodriguez closing up on these two. Bradley Ream wants to get the lead back. This has been some great racing action for the lead as the lead continues to swap hands here early on within the first 55 laps here tonight. Unfortunately, the one that's really fallen off seems to be Kyle Ottawa, who is now fallen to 6th at this point. Still out there fighting for every position he can keep. Perhaps looking towards green flag pit stops to try and get some new rubbers on that 81. Our Bridge 2 Cup Series, they all run out there on Bridgestone tires, a fitting partnership with the tire manufacturer to give us a true Bridge to Cup feel here. Our trucks run on Goodyears, our Bridge to Cup run on Bridgestone, and our Cup run on Hoosier. So quite the spread of tire compounds between all 3 steps of the ladder there. Here we go, Bradley Ream with another push here. He's going to try take the lead back here on lap 57. Not going to have near enough at that point, but still with a little bit more momentum in his favor. He's going to take the lead back here at Texas. Ooh, and now Luis Rodriguez and Rich Roy have really caught up to these leaders. Almost 2 wide, 4-second there with Rich Roy. They could push the envelope here and go 3 wide. They think better of it and settle into single file. More great side-by-side racing action here as Dave Steele Jr. fights to take that lead back away from Ream. Ream settles in right there behind him. Now he's got to buckle down and continue the fight as well. Just like that, we are flying through this race pretty quickly. 66 laps down, 135 laps to go. Has not been disappointing us yet. We've seen some great back and forth action with our leaders at the front of the field here. Bradley Ream really putting down a great showing here tonight in that number 19 Mazda. 4 manufacturers represented in the top 4 there. Subaru, Mazda, Audi, and Dodge. Can only imagine that we'll see something similar tomorrow night with our Sylvania Cup race here at Texas. Parity of manufacturers has been a long-standing staple across all of our racing. But what I'm most impressed with here tonight is the fact that there's someone out there that can hold a candle to Dave Steele Jr. At first I thought maybe Dave Steele Jr. was just that much better than everyone and kind of looked like he had something that no one else had, making it, you know, harder for anyone to even fight for wins here in the series. But tonight, this is a good gauge of what the other rest of the field looks like talent-wise, that he's going to have to try and, you know, get cagey, get creative, figure out new ways to win these races, because it ain't going to be no walk in the park every week. So green flag pit stops happening here on lap 70. That means we're going to see 2 pit stops here tonight. 70 will get us to lap 140 for the next pit stop. And then they should be able to go the rest of the way unless we've got cautions that mix things up. But 2-stop race, and with those 2 stops they should be able to make to lap 210, which of course it's only a 201 lap race, so mileage would put us way past the amount of laps run. I don't think gas mileage would become a concern by the end of this race by those measurements. So our leader's pitting now. Still no cautions in this race. Has run pretty much flag to flag so far. 71 laps without a caution. 130 laps remaining. Thank goodness we don't have any pit road glitches at this track like we did just a week ago at 3.7 Speedway. And I must say the change of venue for the Cup Series worked out pretty good. Having to drop 3.7 Speedway off the calendar, we added Dover in its place, and Dover did not disappoint. We saw Atle Weiss kind of come from behind to steal a win in the Dover Cup race. And so here tonight, looks like Bradley Ream's going to lose some ground to the lead here. Comes out right behind the 35, but the 29 of Rich Roy is going to inherit the lead here. Impressively enough, seems like his pit stop actually came out a lot better than the other competitors that he was fighting with for the win. He has not shuffled to the lead quite yet, as there's still some other drivers finishing their last round before they pit, but he should be shuffling to the lead here shortly. So let's throw another new leader in the mix here tonight. Rich Roy leading his first laps of the evening here at Texas. Recently, he had departed from the Discord server, but we're keeping him alive in spirit with his ride. I didn't want to just eliminate him altogether from the Bridge to Cup action. Give him one farewell tour, until if he decides to come back to the server, then we still got a seat for him, But if he doesn't come back, this will be his, farewell season. Or at least we'll let him complete the remainder of the schedule here in Bridge to Cup, and then reevaluate once the silly season comes. So that's an impressive run here, as Rich Roy has a pretty solid lead. A 2-second lead over Dave Steele Jr. Unfortunately, Bradley Ream lost some momentum on pit stops there, and it put him 3 seconds out of the lead now in third. So now starts the second quarter of this race, as pit strategy has shaken it up here already by lap 75. Well, so far, if you're tuning in, you have not missed a whole lot. We've seen the lead change hands multiple times. This last recent lead change put Rich Roy out front. Prior to the green flag pit stops, though, it was all Dave Steele Jr. and Bradley Ream duking it out, swapping the lead back and forth. Rich Roy had one stellar pit stop, and it put him out pretty far ahead of Dave Steele and Bradley Ream. But you can see in the background there, Dave Steele starting to catch back up to the lead, closing that gap, as well as Bradley Ream in third. Lap traffic becoming a bit of a factor here, as Luis Rodriguez running in fourth will now have to get by the lap traffic that sits between him and third. Kyle Ottawa running fifth, not bad. Rich Roy, the lap time's about 1/10 slower each lap, so big fall off there from the 29 car as the rest of the field starts to catch back up to him. So we did see green flag pit stops on lap 70. By that calculation, we should see more pit stops coming at about lap 135 to 140, give or take. And one of the main factors that Rich Roy got so far out front is he undercut the pit strategy, went in earlier than everyone else, came out on fresher tires. 2 or 3 laps fresher tires was able to allow him to clip off some fast laps to gain the lead. But right now you're seeing the tire degradation become a factor as 35 Dave Steele Jr. with a couple laps fresher tires closing the gap, and will soon be hunting the 29 down for the lead here. There we go. Dave Steele Jr. has caught up to Rich Roy here, and it's just a matter of time before that 35 finds his way around the 29 here to get that lead back. Bradley Ream right there in the same photo shot there. 19. It'll be a 3-car fight going in to the first turn here from the front straight. Bradley Ream, is he going to try to push it 3 wide with lap traffic in front of these two? He could really push the envelope here. Bradley Ream pushes the 35 by the 29. Now trapped behind the 94, Dave Steele Jr. has got to make some slick moves here to get by some of the lap traffic that stands in front of him. Bradley Ream with a good run behind him. Dave Steele peaks low. Going to put the 94 1 lap down. We are slowly approaching halfway in the race here tonight. Lap 100 in just 6 laps time. We'll be halfway to the finish here at Texas for the 301 mile. As mentioned already, Dave Steele Jr. has 3 wins on the season already. Bradley Ream with 0. Bradley Ream going to try to pass on the high side here. I don't think that's the move to make. But impressive nonetheless, as that 98 is very unpredictable. You don't know exactly which line to take. Because like right there, Dave Steele gets cut off by the 98, getting held up here. That's going to allow Bradley Ream to stay right alongside of him. But now, Rich Roy caught back up and wants to try and fight for the lead again. Unfortunately, Bradley Ream gets shuffled backwards a little bit here. He's going to have to recoup and try to figure out another method attack here. So we're officially halfway through the race here tonight. 52 minutes in, 52 minutes to go. Unless, of course, we get some cautions. Then it could be 52 plus minutes to go. Dave Steele Jr. starting to stretch that lead out on Bradley Ream and Rich Roy. As you can see, starting to make them shrink smaller and smaller in the background. Dave Steele kind of cruising now with some clear track in front of him as he got by the last couple lapped cars there. Those 2 lap cars holding up both racing lines right now. That's going to make it hard for Bradley Ream. Or perhaps Bradley Ream going to use a little bit of a draft off of him. It looks like he's starting to catch up a little quicker to Dave Steele Jr. Do a quick glance through the field here after Rich Roy. Luis Rodriguez still running in the top 5, currently running P4. Kyle Ottawa still with the top 5, running in 5th. Then you've got Adam Starr, Gannon Bird, Jack Davis, Alan Malcolm, Cannon Gage, Spinham Walker, Jamie Horseman, Kyler Sustre, Ryan Little, GP Luxembourg, Lucas Holmes, Braden Hunt, Andrew Moger, Kevin Xavier, Nadak Hagum, Osiel Escobar, Anheuser Walkner, Scott Speed, Noah Hobson, and John Hagan, Roach. And there's Dave Steele Jr. again, about to put Roach a lap down. Still caution free through the first half of this race here tonight. And I want to apologize, folks. I am dog tired tonight. I'm trying to make it through this race just so that I can go hit the hay. Don't know why I'm so tired, but we're gonna get through the rest of this race. I probably won't get any rankings scored until tomorrow, but we do have, yeah, we have just about 50 minutes left of racing here, so not too much longer to go. Bradley Ream continuing to keep it interesting here as he's closing that gap again yet on Dave Steele Jr. At this point, Dave Steele has led the most of the laps led between all the drivers. But Bradley Ream, if he can get back in the mix here, could start adding laps to that tally to take led most laps away from Dave Steele Jr. But he's going to have to get a hustle on here and get back up front and lead in order to fight for the lead most laps bonus here tonight. We do give bonus points for the driver that leads the most laps at each racetrack. Do get bonus points simply for leading a lap. But it definitely helps for max points day. If you think about it, like in F1, a driver winning the race and getting fastest lap to get max points at the end of it all. That's kind of what these guys want to do by leading most laps, is to try and max out the total points that they can get for a race week. Dave Steele Jr. has done pretty good so far this year at doing that by going out front, leading most laps, winning the race. He's got his hands full here tonight. It's not going to be no walk in the park to get the lead most lap bonus, as Bradley Ream has definitely shared a good portion of those lead laps here tonight. And he's right there. He's closed up, and this battle ready to start brewing yet again. Bradley Ream with one hell of a charge here. Going to try, maybe this time going into turn one, he'll put it side by side with the 35. 35 with an aggressive run on the outside, trying to hold the position. But Bradley Ream with a little bit more momentum prevails on that inside line. And there we have yet again another swap for the lead here tonight. This has been probably the most lead changes that we've seen in Bridge to Cup action yet this year. It's been spread out across 3 or 4 drivers leading different laps, but makes for some great racing action. And we're still around 88 laps to go here, so plenty of racing. Green flag pit stops gonna try to take place here in another 27 laps, and that'll really set us up for the final push to the finish. Honestly, the windows open up as early as lap 130. If you think about it, they could go out there and go pit early, do the undercut. The only problem is if we get cautions that force green-white checkers, they could be potentially running near empty on fuel. So do you want to undercut and try to steal a win on a race that has not seen a caution? I can see the gamble paying off, especially since there has not been a single caution here tonight. But you could also argue that that means we're long overdue for the first caution here tonight. So we'll have to start checking the field at about lap 130 to see if we've got any people pulling the undercut to pit as early as possible and still make it to the finish. Well, I must say this alone has been worth the price of admission here tonight, as we've seen 3 cars with a very solid competitive chance to win the race here tonight. Dave Steele Jr. showing some signs of, you know, humility here, that he's actually beatable. Often it was almost, synonymous that with him getting out front that it was going to be his win to take. Got a little bit of adversity here tonight and having to fight through it, and still not out of this. He could still sneak around and win this thing. Bradley Ream showing probably one of the strongest performances that he's had all season long so far. And it's really going to come down to that last round of green flag pit stops as to where things are going to shake up. We're at lap 125 right now, so just about 5 to 6 laps shy of that window opening for the entire field in case anyone wants to try and take the super undercut and put themselves at risk of running out of gas. This race has blitzed by very quickly here tonight. Here we go. A change for the lead about to happen here as Dave Steele Jr. goes in alongside Bradley Ream. Dave Steele Jr. going to secure the spot on the backstretch. Bradley Ream's going to have to settle in behind him here. Some more superb racing from these two very talented drivers at the front of the field. Trackhouse B at this point probably wishing they could figure out the secret formula to get this kind of success in the truck series. So far, the trucks have not been kind to Dave Steele Jr. and the rest of Trackhouse B, but the right formula has been obtained here in Bridge to Cup, and that 35 has been hard to beat. We're sitting at lap 129 now, and this is going to be important factor to see is if anyone decides to come down pit road here earlier than the rest of the field. So far didn't seem to be any takers. Still no takers down pit road, so the undercut may not be that appealing to the majority of the field, as our leaders have sustained such a huge lead over the rest of the field. As you see, these two alone tied up pretty close together, but fourth is 8 seconds back, fifth is 12 seconds, sixth on back 15, 16, 17. So that deficit just, I mean, even a super early undercut, you're going to need those leaders to stay out about 15 laps longer to even get the good out of the undercut pit strategy here. So it seems like everyone's kind of just accepted the outcome of this race for them. If they're in the top 10, they might be fighting to try and stay in the top 10 or trying to get up to a top 5 if possible. Still a lot of spectacular racing on tap here today. We've seen right here another potential lead change brewing here with the 19. Dave Steele holds him off, and 19 has to lay off the gas there for a moment. Now, these two definitely we're going to see come around lap 140 for their pit stop. They didn't mess around with any undercut. They went as long as they could. You'll probably even see them about lap 142, 143 for the pit stops. But if we have any takers now, they should be good to go all the way to the finish. Of course, still none as we skim through the field here. Down to 65 laps to go. Some tight racing there with Braden Hunt and Spin'em Walker. No cautions, and still no cautions, as everyone continues to steer clear of contact with others. This battle at the front definitely has been a strategic game of cat and mouse between the two of them as to who's going to lead, who's going to save fuel, who's going to save tires. These two are being very strategic about who they let lead or where they decide to settle in for the run here. Just as Bradley Ream runs in second, I'm sure he's saving his tires just a little bit, running in the draft of that 35. 35 probably burning a little bit more fuel than the 19. And there you see it, having to pit the first of them, as I'm sure he burnt more fuel than the 19, coming down pit road now to serve his final pit stop of the race. Bradley Ream staying out a lap longer, which could be detrimental. He's going to have to come next time for sure to avoid losing too much time to Dave Steele Jr. And 19 is, he's going to stay out another lap, so this could be the winning strategy right here. Get as far in the run as you can so that you have the freshest tires going into the last stint of the race. Dave Steele is already out there on his fresh tires and has burned one lap of good out of them as Bradley Ream continues to make laps in the lead here. That's another lap. Unfortunately, of course, he's going to be slower these laps. But once he pits, gets those fresh tires, he will have the better tires with the less amount of laps to run on them. I do like this strategy call very much for Bradley Ream, as I do feel that this could be a game-winning move from the 19 team. I'm sure Atlee making some calls here from the pit box as the team owner here tonight, giving Bradley Ream some credit there for driving a car that far into a run without losing as much time as he could. And now making his final pit stop of the race. Definitely going to take 4 tires. There's no question about that. And now the important thing is going to be seeing where he rolls out in comparison to Dave Steele Jr. Which altogether doesn't matter a whole lot, as you see there just now blowing by him on track at speed, the 35. But he's burned about 3 laps of good out of his tires, while Bradley Ream has those 3 laps fresher tires that could push him to the victory here tonight. We'll have to see. I think we're going to be cycled back to Dave Steele in the lead. 29 did not make as good of a call on pit strategy this time to inherit the lead. So the lead will go back to Dave Steele Jr. as he'll have about a 5-second advantage over Bradley Ream. Yep, 4.8. Now it's time that they let Bradley cook. This is the moment where his tires will be the freshest that they can be. Losing a spot here to Rich Roy, not promising, as that 19 shouldn't be giving up any more track position. He should just be going straight to the front here. Now deficit is 5.29 for Bradley Ream. Still with plenty of racing to go, 55 laps. Just needs to let those tires come to him here and focus on the track ahead of him. Don't let the race beat him up here. Deficit stayed about even there. No gain, no loss. So the 19 has his work cut out for him here. .35 seconds is the deficit. Dave Steele Jr. just got to hold on and hope for the best in the closing 53 laps here tonight. Regardless of the outcome, Bradley Ream's got to hold his head high after tonight, knowing that he had a car that could contend against the winningest driver right now in our Bridge to Cup series. Even the likes of Rich Roy running in second there. This is an impressive resurgence for that 29 team that no one saw coming. The 19, I don't think, is done here, though, folks. He's going to try to work his way around the 29 and try to start closing that gap to the lead. This side-by-side action not helping Bradley's case, as that's only going to shrink the momentum that he was gaining. Oh, and we've got a blown engine on track here. 24 of Kyler Sustre. Severe engine damage. 77%. There's got to be fuel down. Oil or something. Staying green for now. Seems that they deemed the blown engine was off the racing line and no signs of fluid down on track. I really do want to see how this tire strategy plays out. If we can go green all the way to the finish here tonight, Bradley Ream should have the fresher tires that should mean he's faster than our leader. We'll start comparing lap times this time by. He turned a 27.872, and he's getting held up by his comrade there, or rather rival. Dave Steele turned a 28.0. So if Bradley can find his way around Rich Roy, he could really start closing that gap, try to catch up to the lead here. But that lap, 28.1, truly knocked his momentum down a little bit there. He needs to really focus on getting by the 29 as quickly as possible as these laps continue to slip away from him. Rich Roy makes a pretty evasive move there up high, and I think giving Bradley Ream the position here might have been the call. 29 still fighting tooth and nail on the high side there. But I think Bradley Ream can finally get this monkey off his back and start focusing on the track in front of him, as he turns a 28.431, racing side by side with the 29. But now Dave Steele Jr. has caught up to a big gaggle of lap traffic here, which is going to slow up his pace a little bit. Bradley Ream gets by and now has second place on lock here. It's going to take him a lap or two to get back in the swing of things after getting slowed up by the 29 there. Deficit 6.4 seconds. He chopped off about 4/10 on that lap. So Bradley Ream on a mission here. Chops off another 3/10 this time. We'll go back up here and see what the leader's dealing with. Getting held up by the 8 of Osiel Escobar. Dave Steele Jr. turning a 28.2. This lap turns a 28.0. Pair that up with Bradley Ream, who just turned a 28.123. So it's getting harder to decipher the true advantage of who's got the fresher tires and who doesn't. Bradley Ream might be having to use his stuff up a little too much here to try and catch up to the 35. And in hand doing that, he's burning all his speed away. 28.081 down to a 5.38 second deficit. So continuing kind of on a every other lap trajectory here, getting a better run on every odd number lap. Now he's going to have to get by this lap car pretty quickly. It's not exactly in miracle territory. I mean, he's still very much within all capabilities of getting this done, but if he doesn't get through some of these lapped cars quick enough, it could turn into him needing a miracle to get the win here tonight. Just like that, continuing to close the gap down to 4.8. Man, what's going on with the 35? Still, yeah, he's going to get through this lap traffic, looks like. But that also means that second and third place are also going to have to get through all that lap traffic. So Bradley Ream, the task just continually gets harder and harder here, even if he picks up some gains on the lead. Dave Steele stuck behind the 78 here of Moger. Moger still fast enough to keep the 35 behind him, but definitely slowing up what the 35 is capable of turning here for laps. Now Bradley Ream really needs to get around the 65 ASAP if he wants to start closing that gap again. Another 0.3 off the lead there for Bradley Ream. But Dave Steele Jr. now trying to finally get by the 78 of Moger. This is going to keep slowing up the 35 temporarily here as he tries to duke it out with the 78. Got to imagine the 78 has been making it this much harder in the closing laps, trying to help his teammate get back in the mix here. And seems to have somewhat paid off as that gap has shrunk a little bit for his teammate Ream. But still a lot more that Bradley Ream needs to get done here. Down to 3.89 seconds. Almost imagine that Dave Steele's tires have fallen off a cliff here. This is where the good of the tires start to kick in ever so slightly for Bradley Ream. As Dave Steele turns a 28.4. Compare that up to Bradley Ream's 28.4. But still trying to gain, closing the gap slowly but surely in the favor of the 19. Dave Steele's still not out of the woods here, as he's going to have more lap traffic to deal with in a short period of time. His laps have really fallen off as he turned a 28.3, and Bradley Ream getting by lap traffic, had a slow lap there, 28.7. We're down to 25 laps to go here, and Bradley Ream's going to have to figure out how to kick it into overdrive to win this race here today. The lap traffic alone is going to keep Bradley Ream from even dreaming of getting the win done here today. Ream's back to losing ground again here. Even though he's got clear track in front of him, his lap times have fallen off the side of the cliff here. And so everyone's kind of running on used tires at this point. Dave Steele Jr. still holding strong with the lead for now. Well, most definitely we have seen Dave Steele Jr. be hot in these last couple races here in Bridge to Cup. There's a reason why he leads our points right now with 3 wins, 5 top 5s. And as you know, as that's gone so far in 8 races here on race number 9 tonight. He's really establishing himself as one of the top dogs here in the series. Can't count all your chickens before the eggs hatch, though. We still have 15 laps. If we even got a caution here in the closing laps, we would have one final restart, perhaps, that Bradley Ream could get another shot to fight for the victory. Don't think Bradley Ream's going to have any luck getting through this lap traffic separating him. He's going to have Superman tires to make passes left and right here if he wants a shot. And getting stuck behind this 4 car is not helping his case by any means. He's going to have to be passing a car a lap. With 13 laps to go, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars separating him from the leader. And about to make it 10 here as Dave Steele could potentially put that 09 car lap down. That would leave us with 11 cars on the lead lap by the end of the race here. He has put all the way up to 12th place, 1 lap down. Ream gets by the 4. Now sets his sights on the 11. 88 there of John Hagan. And the 8 of Asiel Escobar. Looks like Escobar could be matching one of his best finishes with an 18th here tonight. We have 5 laps to go now. Dave Steele Jr. has by far led the most laps here tonight. Played the strategy game to perfection. and is just going to have to weather the remaining laps here and hope for green flags all the way. Green flags non-stop. The 35 slowing up a little bit here. I don't know if the tires have fallen off that badly, or if he's maybe having some pickup problems with the fuel. Turned a 29.2. It's really just getting at the end of these races where you have used up your stuff. Even Bradley Ream turning 29-second laps. Just going to have to bring it on home here, as there's not very many laps left to go. 3 laps remaining now. 35 just needs to regroup here and settle in, just cruise on home. No caution flags whatsoever here in tonight's 300 lap event. Of course, I mentioned something, I could jinx it just like that, but 2 laps to go now. His gap pretty much stabilized at 4.8 seconds. Lead over Bradley Ream. Now on lap 200 of 201. Just about 3 miles remaining here tonight. Lead now 5.11 seconds. As lap traffic seems to have a little bit more pace here in the closing laps. Dave Steele's going to get trapped up high here. But nothing's going to faze him as the white flag waves in the air. Last lap around the track here tonight. You're really seeing the grit and the determination from that 35 car pulling it around this track 2 seconds slower than their fastest laps earlier in the race. Degradation and the wear of the tires have turned it in to a hard car to drive here at the end, but gets the checkered flag, comes home with his 4th win of the season, and just continues to tamp that points lead in his favor. Going to be a pretty big second place finish there for Bradley Ream, who has not seen a top 5 yet this season. This will be his first top 5, and momentum should be on his side going towards the next couple races to get maybe some better finishes along the horizon. Rich Roy with a 3rd. Luis Rodriguez with a solid 4th. Coming home 5th, Kyle Ottawa. Seemed to have had a car that could have competed for the win, but didn't have a very good long run setup in that car. I think had more of a good short run setup. Adam Starr, Gannon Bird in the Cadillac there. Ryan Little, GP Luxembourg, and Alan Malcolm rounding out your top 10. So another max points day for Dave Steele Jr. in the Bridge to Cup Championship here. He's trying to establish himself as the #1 contender for the seat up to Cup. You know, winning the Bridge to Cup Championship will earn you a berth into the Cup Series, and he's doing just what he needs to appeal to the team owners in the Cup side, winning races here in Bridge to Cup, just like last year's champion worked his way up into the Cup Series. So It's proven that the ladder system works. We've got Al Bunch going out there. He's already won 3 of the Cup races this year. So climbing that ladder, getting to the Cup Series, it'll be a matter of time before Dave Steele figures out the formula to doing that too.
Greg, did you have any ignition problems?
Well, another solid performance from the Trackhouse B driver there, getting his 4th win. And man, it'll be exciting to see what our Cup race has to offer tomorrow. We had a great truck race here at Texas, great Bridge to Cup race, and I am expecting even as exciting of a Cup race tomorrow for our guys. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Glad you could make the stream. Always happy to see people tuning in. Hopefully some of y'all can tune in tomorrow to see the Cup event. So have a good night, everyone. Stay safe out there. And this is JAKESTERS signing out.